You are now listening to FireWall Chats with the IT-ISAC. Today's guest is MJ Shower, Executive Director of the CompTIA ISAO. As Executive Director of the CompTIA ISAO, MJ brings his wealth of experience in the tech industry. He is the founder and principal consultant of MJ Shower LLC, a consulting firm working with MSPs, the IT channel, and SMB clients. He also serves as a lead coach for the ASCII Insider Peer Group program. Prior to launching his own company, he served in leadership positions at OnePath, INT, and as president of Genely Technology Group, an MSP he founded in 1997. Today, MJ and Scott discuss the partnership between the IT-ISAC and the CompTIA ISAO, why cybersecurity is important to small businesses, the threats managed service providers and technology service providers face, and how the CompTIA ISAO is a valuable asset to these communities.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Scott Algier. I'm the IT-ISAC Executive Director. I'm honored today to be talking with MJ Shore, the Executive Director of the CompTIA ISAO. MJ, welcome.
Thanks, Scott. It's a pleasure to be here with you. The honor's all mine.
It's great to have you, sir. So we spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time on video calls.
Yeah.
But for the audience who may not know you, can you talk a little bit about yourself, how you ended up being the Executive Director of the CompTIA ISAO?
Sure. So as Scott said, my name is MJ Shore. I am a native of Swampscott, Massachusetts, just a little bit north of Boston, and I currently reside in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, about another hour north, in little old New England. But I've been in the technology industry for over 30 years now. I'm dating myself. Most importantly, from 1997 through 2015, I ran my own managed service provider business, a company called Genely Technology Group. During that time, I became an active CompTIA member, CompTIA being the Computing Technology Industry Association. We're the global nonprofit trade association for the industry. I sold my business in 2015 and rolled up to a larger regional MSP. We used to help each other, and then, in manner of sort of normal conversation, we decided to become one. And then we were in turn acquired by a national provider. So I've had experience both running a true SMB managed service provider, a larger regional, and then a national. So that provided a great base. And then about a year ago, in the fall of 2019, I was approached by the folks at ConnectWise, a company in our space, about coming on board to help launch an ISAO. And fast forward a little bit, and I'll cut the story very short. We realized that it was perfect for an organization like CompTIA. And so CompTIA asked me to stay engaged in that role and be the executive director on the relaunched CompTIA ISAO that we have here today. So that's sort of the history. And along the way, I should mention I was a CompTIA board member and served as chairman of the board for 3 years as well. So I've got deep roots and a lot of passion for CompTIA and its mission. It's a true honor to be able to bring that to the CompTIA ISAO.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that. So you're definitely the right person for the job, that's for sure. For the experience in the field, and the target audience of the CompTIA ISAO is going after, which we'll talk about in a second. But before we talk about the membership, what is the CompTIA ISAO? So what is its mission, and what makes it unique in this space?
So, for those of you who are familiar, obviously the IT-ISAC is an information sharing and analysis center, the C, and the CompTIA ISAO is an information sharing and analysis organization, thus the O. What's unique about the CompTIA ISAO and what we're focused on are really the SMB managed service providers, integrators, solution providers, the vendors and distributors that support that whole ecosystem. We call it the business of technology. Some people call it the IT channel, but we're very much focused on that segment, which really needs this type of organization. And our mission, simply stated, is to raise the cybersecurity resilience of the global tech industry. We view the cybersecurity threats very similarly to your own organization. These are things that are bigger than one individual, bigger than any one organization. Let's call it what it is. The bad actors all share information to affect their malicious activity and to make it as successful as possible. Well, industries need to band together. That's why ISACs and ISAOs exist, be it around critical infrastructure or membership organizations like CompTIA. we need to come together and share what we're seeing out there from critical cyber threat intelligence in order to fight back and get the upper hand back in the cybersecurity game. And so, our mission is to serve this segment of the market that prior to hasn't really had access to this type of cyber threat intel. And of course, which we're going to talk about, we've got a fantastic partnership with you and your team at the IT-ISAC, and that's allowing us to help this marketplace a lot faster than if we were standing everything up by ourselves from ground zero.
Sure. So we will for sure talk about that partnership in a second, but as long as we're on the topic about the managed security providers, what is unique about the threat to them? So why is it that they need to be prepared? I talked to a lot of small businesses who tend to think, I'm a small business. Why would somebody want to attack me? What do I have? And others say, oh, I have a technology guy. I have an IT guy. He takes care of all of that for me. So why is this community important?
Yeah, I mean, great example, Scott. I've dealt with that throughout my career. I was very fortunate that I had some customers that were a little more proactive about it, in some cases because they didn't have a choice. Their customers were telling them they needed to address cybersecurity. But look, I think everybody understands no one is immune to this threat. I mean, think about the times where we're all worried about the impact on the election, right? Disinformation, misinformation. We've all seen the results of hacks and data breaches, be it Target or Equifax. Now, these are all bigger entities, bigger things. But, if you know someone who's had identity theft, well, did they ever think they were a risk? Probably not. People tended to think that this was only the concern of, very influential people, be they public figures, executives from large companies. But, look, anyone can have their identity stolen. The same applies in the business world. Any business can be hacked. In fact, there are many who would argue it's not a matter of will you be, it's will you know that you've been. I remember talking to an FBI special agent, probably even 5 years ago now, and he said, look, our whole approach to this has changed. It's not will you or will you not be. You will be. The question is, will you know it? And will you be able to contain it when it happens? Will you even know that it's happening? And how will you be able to respond? So this is no longer hypothetical. It's a real world happening every day. Companies of all sizes. I mean, just think, if you're a small law firm, a small CPA, a medical practice, you've got people's private information, financial, legal, healthcare, all protected information that is at risk. It is a target. Now, when it comes to managed service providers, look, we all understand that the real engine of the US economy, let's just talk about the United States in this context, the real engine are the small businesses, right? Main Street USA, as they used to say. Well, most of those companies don't have internal IT. They outsource their IT, as you said, to their computer guy, or more conventionally to a managed service provider, a company that acts as an outsourced IT department, a company that has resources and depth that, a 5-person law firm or a 10-person accounting firm wouldn't have on staff. They wouldn't be able to afford it. So just like we as individuals turn toward an accounting firm to do our taxes, let's say, that firm turns to a managed service provider to do their IT for the same reason. They have the expertise, they have the resources, they have the backup people and the depth to manage all that. Well, those companies now become a huge threat surface to all of their customers. So if I'm an MSP and I have 100 customers, if a hacking organization takes over my MSP network, in theory, they could have access to all 100 of my clients. So that's a big attack surface through a small entry point. It's kind of like the flipping a funnel upside down. You just have to get into that little neck of the funnel, and then you've got access to that whole broad opening of the funnel that's normally on top. And so I mentioned the Target hack, that's in effect how the Target hack happened. Listeners may remember that an HVAC firm, the company that managed their heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, was hacked. And that company had a connection into the corporate network to manage the systems at the corporate offices. the hackers came across that and then jumped over to the point of sale network where they got, consumers' credit cards. Same thing could happen from in our market space with MSPs. If an MSP gets hacked, it's an entry point into many customers across many different industries. So it's more important than ever that this community is coming together to both not just address the threats, but recognize how serious the threats are.
So your target HVAC example is a good one, and it offers another reason why this is important, is because as the larger enterprises become more secure, the cost of entry into those enterprises are increased for the attackers. They go after the smaller enterprises who may not be as secure, who don't have the resources to defend themselves. They use the smaller enterprises as a means to get into some of these larger enterprises. So using those downstream attacks, vectors through supply chains, through trusted partners, is a method that the attackers are using today.
Yep, absolutely. Very well said. The target of opportunity starts to come very much down market. And that's what we've seen. We see it, we see it every day.
So you mentioned in your remarks the partnership with the IT-ISAC. So tell us a little bit about that and how it helps you in your job of helping these companies manage risks to their enterprise.
I've got to give you a lot of credit there too, right? It was your creativity and thinking outside the box when you and I first spoke. So I was doing my research and I reached out to you and we were having a conversation about what makes ISACs and ISAO successful. And through that conversation, started, I wonder how we could collaborate together. And you came back with some great ideas and we talked about those and molded it into this really great partnership. And that, for us, that's been incredibly beneficial because it's allowed us to stand up very quickly. If I had my druthers, we would have started the CompTIA ISAO years ago. But like anything in business, there are a million different competing priorities and pressures, and it didn't happen, but it's happening now. And what this partnership has enabled us to do is really accelerate our time to market as if we had started this, years ago. Leveraging the collective expertise that you have on your team, we're able to bring a level of very high quality analysis to our members very quickly. I didn't have to go out and recruit cyber analysts and put all the processes together and the workflows. You were very gracious to give us a lot of suggestions of how to do some of this very quickly. And so we've put together some both technological platforms as well as workflows that allow us to share between our organizations in real time. And then your analysts are able to look at the threat feeds that we have specific to our membership and take what they see both with their work with the IT-ISAC as well as with the CompTIA ISAO and deliver even more meaningful deliverables to both memberships. But, from my perspective, for our membership, it's been a great way to deliver value very, very quickly. And feather in the cap of the team was, the zero logon vulnerability that came out in September and the early access to that and the fact that we were able to get it to our collective memberships, in our case, about 48 hours before we started to see it in our normal communication channels around cybersecurity threats. So that's just a real testament to the power of not just this partnership, but the information sharing that's taking place within our organizations to be able to find a threat, qualify it, and get it into the hands of the members so that they could remediate it before it actually started to be exploited, especially when even 2 weeks after that, those initial indicators were showing up, Microsoft was, putting the alert out that they're still seeing that vulnerability being actively exploited. Well, I like to believe that every member of the IT-ISAC and the CompTIA ISAO were not part of those active exploits at that point because they did what they needed to do because they had the information.
Yeah, super. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. But, from our perspective, it's mutual value in partnering with you all as well. I think it gives us an opportunity to partner with you to serve an underserved community, a community that we don't have a lot of small managed security providers in the IT-ISAC. And as we discussed, the threat to them is significant. So we're happy to partner with you on this. Status update, how things going, things progressing well with your membership and in the ISAO?
Yeah, things really are. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I always have maybe slightly unrealistic expectations. I always want things to be further down the road than they are, but I've really learned to sort of step back and take a breath and look at where we're at and be just incredibly proud of the team and the work that we've accomplished in very short order. So, we have approximately 780 members right now, and we have commitments from another 950 members. So we expect that we'll have somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000 members actively online and engaged by the end of this year, which is great. And we know that'll continue to build as we roll into 2021. But we've really stood up two critical deliverables for new members, which are something we're calling our CompTIA Cyber Forum, which is an interactive platform where we can build an online community, an online trusted community for members to share best practices, ask questions, submit threats that they think they may be seeing and ask if anyone else has been seeing it. We put a lot of just general cybersecurity related tidbits out there into the forum, whether it's upcoming events or, if we see resources that are valuable, we'll post them out there. The team of analysts and the ops managers put out any breaking alerts or weekly summary reports, which we're now doing both in print and video, as well as Homeland Security reports, vendor reports. We've got a whole threat report section that's really built up an impressive amount of content in a short amount of time for our members to consume. We're using the TrueStar platform for our threat intelligence, so we're able to share information back and forth there. And for those of our members who are more experienced or may have cyber analysts or threat hunters on staff, they've got the ability to go right into those threats. So we've got some really good assets out there for our members to take advantage of, and we're continuing to build on that and more to come. And we're trying to develop some more educational content, and we'll start to do some virtual meetups during these times when we can't physically get together to help continue to build that. But I'm very, very pleased with where things are right now and the momentum and the support we've received from the industry. I would say the future is extremely bright for the CompTIA ISAO, and it's really wonderful to see all the members starting to get engaged.
Yeah, so that's great. So all sounds like good news. So if a listener was interested in learning more about the CompTIA ISAO, where would they go?
Sure. So just go to CompTIA ISAO. So CompTIA, CompTIA ISAO.org. It's CompTIAISAO.org, or you can just drop an email to membership@CompTIA.org if that's easier. Our membership team is great. They've really embraced the CompTIA ISAO and understand it inside and out. But the website will give you all the basic information, and there's a place to request more information. If an organization is already a CompTIA member, you can just log into your CompTIA account and you can just add the ISAO to it. It's just an upgrade to your standard corporate membership. And the nice thing about membership in the CompTIA ISAO is it's for the entire organization. So whether you're a company of 6 people or a company of 60 people, everyone in your organization has access to the benefits when your organization joins.
Awesome. Also, MJ, thank you for the time you've spent with us today, and also your engagement with us as an excellent partner and the work that you've been able to do with the IT-ISAC. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, thanks, Scott. I appreciate the opportunity to share our story, and I thank you and your team as well. It's been a great partnership and only good things to come.
Excellent. Well, thank you, sir. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of FireWall Chats. To listen to more episodes, visit our website at www.it-isac.org.